Hello and welcome to the heliosblog. My name is Helios. Today we're going to talk about the Pareto principle. I'm sure some people have never heard of the Pareto principle. Allow me to enlighten you. People need to understand the Pareto principle in order to maximize their choices in life. Once you understand the Pareto principle, you'll easily be able to understand the modern sexual marketplace. Let's dive into it. Enjoying my content? Check out my blog at heliosblog.com. On YouTube, you can support me by liking and subscribing. I'm also on Spotify if you'd prefer a podcast. If you're interested in my books, The Strategist Guide to Seduction and Quotes to Live By, they're available on Amazon. In addition, you can follow me on Patreon at theheliosblog for exclusive content. On with the show. What is the Pareto principle? The Pareto principle is the 80-20 rule. It means that 20% of the population, those in the highest bracket, receive 80% of the resources. It does not apply only to capitalism, but also to the free sexual marketplace. In the free sexual marketplace, which basically follows a capitalist structure, sexual availability is concentrated in the top 20% of men. This means that the top 20% of men receive 80% of the sexual attention. Understanding the Pareto principle. Regarding the sexual marketplace, it implies that 80% of men are competing for 20% of female attention. This means that the competition among betas is fierce. One of the hardest things in the modern sexual marketplace is for a beta to get into a relationship with a woman. They essentially have to be super beta, following all of the matriarchy's rules to the letter, and continually revamping and capitulating in terms of their personality in order to stay competitive among the pool of beta losers they find themselves in. Not only is it a losing battle, it's not even one worth fighting. If the betas understood what they really needed to do in order to succeed, they wouldn't need to fight so hard amongst themselves. 20% of men get 80% of the attention. So of course 20% of men get 80% of the attention. What it means is the top 20% of men receive most of the sexual attention and experience extreme sexual abundance. These top 20% men are the men that women refer to when they say things like all men are assholes or all men are pigs. To women who only see the top 20% and maybe the top 2% of betas, only the absolute winners are considered sexually. You're much better off trying to break into the top 20% than fight betas for the scraps that remain. Hypergamy and the Pareto principle. When women are no longer competitive, they might settle for a beta, though many simply exit out of the game completely and become cat ladies. Hypergamy means that 80% of women try and gain the sexual attention of the top 20% and succeed. Obviously, many alphas have several women as sexual partners. Women would much rather share a winner than be saddled with a faithful loser. Alpha versus beta. As I've said several times, men are split into two categories, actually three, with undesirables being the other group. Alphas receive the most attention and betas fight for the scraps. It's difficult to break into the category of alphas. It requires both freeing yourself from the mental prison and also working on your body in order to be physically attractive. Ultimately, the alphas are the ones that women want to spend their sexual time with and the ones that women show genuine desire to. It's your decision whether you want to spend the effort required in order to become successful or whether you choose to fall into obscurity. The sexual marketplace does not care about fairness. Just like how a small percentage of the population holds 90% of the wealth, a small percentage of men have most of the sexual attention. If you're not currently in the top 20% of men in terms of attractiveness, you should spend some chunk of your available time becoming a top 20% male. Breaking into the top category of men will make your life way easier in terms of seduction. Fighting the 80% is harder than fighting the 20%. The life of a beta is much more difficult than that of an alpha. The beta has to work extremely hard in order to maintain the affection of one woman. An alpha requires no such effort. Since the beta has such a huge group to compete against, the way that they're competing is very similar. Nothing distinguishes one beta from another. As a result, only the super betas win, while the others have no chance at all. Once you break into the top 20% group, as a result of the abundance of options available, you'll find that seducing women and creating your own roster will be relatively easy. Work to break into the top 20%. My recommendation to you is that you work to break into the top 20% of men in order to ensure that you're easily able to access the sexual options of the superior group. Once there, the work you have to do is much less. Basically, working on yourself in order to get into the top 20% is an investment. It's very hard to break into the group, but once there, practically no more work is required. An alpha literally shoots fish in a barrel. The abundance of options available to you make it extremely easy to seduce women once you're in the top 20% due to the Pareto principle. Conclusion. The Pareto principle explains how 20% of men receive 80% of female attention in the sexual marketplace. It's much harder for a bottom 80% beta to fight for the scraps of women left than to compete with the top 20% for 80% of the female attention. Thus, I recommend that you work on yourself in order to break into the top 20%. Once you're there, your sexual life will be all but guaranteed. Life is about struggle, and now is your time. Work hard.